Good afternoon, guys. I'm Chanté-Kelly and this is my presentation for CIC2601 Assignment 2. This is my table of contents. So on slide 3, I would be explaining the resources that I used. Slide 4 would be the lesson aims. Slide 5 would be the introduction. Slide 6, development of content. Slide 7, teaching strategy applied. Slide 8, teaching method applied. Slide 9, assessment during lesson. And then slide 10, homework. So the resources that I'm going to use are number cards. So with the number cards, I'll be placing jumble cards from 1 to 10 in front of each learner. Learners will then put the cards in the correct number sequence. The next resources are objects such as buttons and bottle caps. So the learners will place the correct amount of objects under the correct number. So then the next one will be a little game that we will be playing. So the game are called the jumping frogs. We will be working in pairs. So one learner will get to be the eye hopper, in which a learner will wear the crown, and then the other learner would be the eye roller, in which a learner will throw the die. The next resource that we will be using are also uniblocks, so the learners will build their own number line from 1 to 10 in pairs. We will also be using worksheets and workbooks such as TBE books. We'll be using number lines, huge number lines, and then we'll also be using a little song for the learners. The song will be about number lines for the learners to um, remember how to use number lines and what number lines are all about. Lesson aims. So my goal is for at the end of the lesson, learners should be able to understand the concept of counting and ordering numbers using a number line. Identify and label numbers on a number line. Learners should also be able to understand the concept of addition and subtraction on a number line. Learners should also be able to solve maths problems and equations, analyze and compare numbers on a number line, and be able to use it as a measuring tool. Introduction. Have you ever played a game where you had to move your game piece along a path? Maybe it was a board game like Snakes and Ladders. Do you know the number lines are just like paths? They help us understand numbers and their relationships to each other. In today's lesson, we will be exploring number lines and using them to present and identify numbers up to 10. By the end of this lesson, we will be able to confidently use number lines to count, add, and subtract. Development of content. So in activity 1 is for the whole class and will be the introduction to number lines. The class must be able to build their own number line from 1 to 10 in pairs. They must do it concrete to see numbers as they grow bigger. They will use different objects. Next one will be a number line song to help the learners remember what number lines look like and how it works. Workbooks, TBE, for workbooks to help learners in their different groups. The frog game, all learners participate in the game. They get crown to wear as frogs and each group gets a die to throw. They must hop on the number line and the first group to reach 10 wins. Teaching strategy applied. The teaching strategy which I am going to apply in my lesson would be the hands-on activities. So hands-on activities is to encourage students in the learning process. I will provide various hands-on activities that involve manipulating physical number lines. For example, placing jumbled number cards from 1 to 10 in front of each learner. Learners will then put the cards in the correct number sequence. I'll also use various objects such as buttons, bottle caps. The learners will then place the correct number of objects under the correct number. This will show the learner's growth of that specific number. These activities will also help learners to develop an aesthetic understanding of how number lines work and reinforce the understanding of number order and placement. The teaching method which I'm going to apply in this lesson would be the hands-on and interactive approach. So, hands-on and interactive approach, I will start by introducing the concept of number lines using various examples that students can relate to. Next, I will provide students with physical number lines that they can touch and manipulate. Further, I will incorporate interactive games and activities. I will also use technology to enhance their learning experience. I will make use of whiteboards and projectors to manipulate number lines digitally. So my assessment during lesson would be I'll be using a rubric to see if the child can complete the number line activity correctly and to see if he or she understands how to complete the activity. So the activity would be a quiz on the Kahoot app, which is set up of 5 questions, addition and subtraction. And then the learners will also be provided with a number line to help. So the questions would be, what is 1 plus 2 equal to, is it 3 or is it 2? The next question would be 2 minus 2, is the answer 0 or is it 2? The next one is 6 plus 2, is the answer 7 or is it 8? The next one is 5 minus 1, is the answer 4 or is it 3? Then the last one would be 1 plus 4, is it 5? Is it equal to 5 or is it equal to 4? For homework, I'll be dividing the learners into 3 groups. So the first group will be the slow group. This is the learners that is a bit slow. So learners will be asked to measure the size of a shoe at home. They will use a ruler to measure the shoe and then they would plot the measured lengths on the number line using a dot. So for the average group, they'll have the same activity, just they'll be measuring a different object, which would be a table and a chair at home. The learner will also use a ruler to measure the table and chair, and then they would plot the measured lengths on the number line using a line segment. For the gifted group, exactly same activity, just a different object. So the gifted group's objects will be the fridge, bed, and microwave. Same as average group, learners will be using the ruler to measure these objects and then they would plot the measured lengths on the number line using a line segment.